Stop everything you're doing, because Scottish football is absolutely on fire this week. Brendan Rodgers could be locked down with a blockbuster new deal as Celtic make him their #1 priority. Leeds are circling Rangers' midfield gem like sharks, and the board are scrambling to hold him down. And at Tynecastle, Craig Halkett is clawing his way back from the brink in a fight that might just save his Hearts career. But that's not all. Daizen Maeda's keeping everyone guessing, brushing off contract talks with laser focus on the treble. And just when you thought the Gerrard era was history, boom, the Ibrox rumor mill explodes with talk of his stunning return. Love the FIPA? You're in the right place, mate. Hit that wee subscribe button, join the crew, and listen, once we hit 1,000 subs, somebody's bagging a brand new SPFL shirt. Could be you, Ken? Get involved. Brendan Rodgers. The man, the myth, the miracle worker at Parkhead. Just when folk thought his second stint might be a quiet return, he only went and delivered a domestic double, with a third trophy now within touching distance. A treble, they say. And make no mistake, if that happens, he will not just be walking into club folklore. He'll be kicking the door down and putting his feet up on the coffee table. Now the Celtic board has a decision to make. Rodgers has just 1 year left on his current deal, but the calls are growing louder to tie him down with a fresh long-term contract. Not just because of what he's done, but because of what he might do, especially in Europe. And there's the rub, because while he has kept the green and white machine purring in Scotland, it's the UEFA Champions League where fans are getting all misty-eyed and excited again. Celtic show flashes in this season's revamped format that maybe, just maybe, they are starting to find their feet on the big stage once more. And that has everything to do with the man in the dugout. But let's be honest, keeping a manager of that quality requires more than applause. It needs ambition, it needs investment, and it needs a promise that what happened with John McGinn will not happen again. See, the last time Rodgers left, it was not just about the Premier League calling. It was about the board not backing his vision. That memory still lingers like a dodgy halftime pie. If Dermot, Desmond, and the rest want to keep Brendan smiling, they will need to show they are serious about building a team not just to win in Scotland, but to make waves in Europe. Rodgers might feel he has unfinished business in the UEFA Champions League, and that Celtic is the perfect place to settle that score. You, watching this now, let me throw it to you. Be honest. If Celtic do not seriously invest in the squad and show they mean business in Europe, do you actually blame Brendan Rodgers if he walks away again at the end of his contract? Let me know in the comment. Nicholas Raskin, eh? The lad arrived from Standard Liège last year and wasted no time making himself the heartbeat of the Rangers midfield. 3 goals, 8 assists, and enough box-to-box energy to power the floodlights at Ibrox for a fortnight. Peter Lovenkrands even went as far as to call him the most valuable player in the squad. Not just talented, but consistent, passionate, and now, apparently very popular with scouts south of the border. Leeds United, fresh off their return to the Premier League, fancy him as the perfect engine for their midfield. Aston Villa, climbing under Unai Emery's watch, think he fits like a glove in their high-pressing game. Both clubs have the cash, the stage, and, crucially, the ability to wave a juicy contract in front of Raskin's nose. But Rangers are not daft. They know what they have. A player locked in until 2027, admired by the fans and proven on the pitch. So the Ibrox hierarchy is already cooking up a countermove, preparing a chunky new offer and leaning hard into the whole "you are central to our future" speech. Now, Raskin himself has played it cool in public. He said all the right things about balance, playing regularly, not jumping too early. But he also dropped hints. He wants to compete internationally. He knows Premier League eyes are on, and he is aware that a strong performance in Europe could be his springboard to something bigger. And this right here is where it gets complicated. Rangers have made a name for themselves buying young talent, developing it and selling it on for a tidy profit. So keeping Raskin might go against the club's long-term business model, even if the short-term football logic says he is absolutely essential. Imagine the offer comes in at, say, £25 million. Should Rangers stand firm and keep Raskin as a pillar of their project? Or should they cash in, stick to their model, and trust they will find the next one waiting in the wings? Let the debate begin in the comment. Daizen Maeda, the man who never stops running. Honestly, at this point, scientists might want to check if he has extra lungs. Fresh off a 20,000-mile round trip to Japan that would make even seasoned pilots break a sweat, the lad was back in the squad for the Glasgow Derby, and sure enough, he ran himself into the ground again. Literally, only this time, it cost him a glorious chance at a last-gasp winner against the Rangers, but we will let him off. He was probably still jet-lagged in 3 time zones at once. Now, you would think with a PFA Player of the Year award in the bag and a contract until 2027, Maeda might be in a rush to renegotiate his deal, maybe get a little bonus for every kilometer he sprints. But no, the man is zen. Laser focused on finishing the season with a treble and not getting distracted by agents, clauses, or contract extension. Talks have happened, but Maeda told the gaffer, in so many words, let us win everything first, then we can chat. And fair play to him. While baby Maeda is taking his sweet time to arrive back in Japan, Daddy Maeda is determined to stay put in Glasgow for the final stretch. He knows there is business to be done. 3 league games, 1 cup final, and a chance to seal another slice of Celtic history. No distractions, no excuses, just medals. Also, how refreshing is it to see a player win a major individual award and still insist he is not a superstar? In an era where some footballers would tattoo GOAT on themselves after a decent warm-up, Maeda just says thank you, smiles, and goes back to sprinting down the left wing like a man possessed. If Daizen Maeda was to leave Celtic next season for a big money move abroad, would the team actually struggle to replace what he brings to the pitch, or is he more of a luxury than a necessity in this squad? Let's see where the fan base really stands. Craig Halkett, the big man at the back, has not had it easy, has he? At a glance, he looks like the kind of no-nonsense center half who could walk through a brick wall and then politely ask who built it. But behind that stoic presence is a player who has had to battle serious doubts about his future at Tynecastle after 3 injury-riddled seasons, including just 7 appearances last year and only 18 this term. Most folk had written him off. High earner, stuck on the bench, new defenders rolling in like a January sales queue. The writing looked like it was on the wall. And yet, here he is, muscling his way back into the hard starting 11 with the same determination he once showed at Livingston. He got his shot against Ross County and by all accounts took it well. But this is more than just a comeback tale. It is about a player refusing to be sidelined, not just physically, but mentally. Halkett made it clear to the coaching staff early on that he was not sticking around for the Wade slip and warm bench. He wanted to play, to earn his spot, not just coast on reputation. Now, with Stephen Kingsley and Frankie Kent also back in the mix, and Hearts' central defense suddenly as packed as a festival beer tent, Halkett finds himself in arguably the most competitive squad battle of his time at the club. 7 center backs for 3 shirts. That is not a rotation. That is a full-blown survival contest. Still, Halkett reckons he is the fittest he has been in years. A lot of credit goes to the sports scientists at Rickerton, who pushed him and the others through a brutal rehab program that went above and beyond. They even got to the point where they were match ready before they returned to full training. Now that is how you silence the injury-prone tag. The result? A solid performance, 3 goals for the team, and a desperately needed win against Ross County. And even though the fans made their feelings about the board very clear, the players on the pitch kept their focus. A rare bit of calm in a season full of chop and change, including yet another managerial switch, this time bringing in Liam Fox to try and stabilize the ship. So here is the question that needs asking. If Hearts want to push for European football and finally stop stumbling in the spring, is keeping Craig Halkett around a smart bit of loyalty or a sentimental mistake? Let the debate begin. Well now, here we go again. Just when you thought the Steven Gerrard to Rangers saga had been filed away in the great but gone folder, up pops the whisper that he might still be in the running for a return to Ibrox. Apparently, the new powers that be Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers group had Gerrard on the radar before shifting focus towards someone with 0 history at the club. Clean slate, fresh start, no sentiment. At least that was the plan. But with the managerial search dragging on longer than a VAR check in stoppage time, it seems that door may not be completely shut. Scott McDermott reckons Gerrard still cannot be ruled out. And honestly, If the top targets vanish into thin air or get snapped up elsewhere, bringing back a known quantity with a solid domestic record, 76 wins from 107 league matches, does not seem the worst fallback option, especially when your current interim boss, Barry Ferguson, while popular, has failed to really make his mark results-wise. Now, the decision is not just about nostalgia or unfinished business, it is about strategy. If Rangers want to go toe-to-toe with a Brendan Rodgers-led Celtic next season, the manager in the dugout needs to be top shelf. Gerrard, for all the criticisms during his time at Aston Villa and Al Ettifaq, did break the hoop's domestic dominance with an unbeaten title-winning season. That is not small potatoes. But sentiment can be a dangerous thing. Fans remember the high, but they also remember how things fell flat after that peak. And some might argue bringing Gerrard back is a move that screams, we are out of ideas, more than we are building for the future. Be honest, would bringing Steven Gerrard back be a step forward for Rangers, or just a romantic rerun of a chapter that is better left closed? Let the arguments fly in the comments. And don't forget, we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit that mark, we're giving away a shirt of your favorite SPFL team to one lucky subscriber. So hit that subscribe button, drop your team in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. I post videos every day talking about our Scottish football. See you soon.